Welcome into the Sources Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball podcast on the KSR Podcast Network, presented by our friends at Parlor Pizza. I'm your host, Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio. Very excited to be joined once again by half of our Smiths, Spencer Smith. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Jack. Coming off of a couple wins. We're on a bit of a heater right now. I'm feeling good.
This is so much more fun whenever the wins are stacking up and we can, after we have a little bit of a toxic relationship with Kentucky basketball this season, with just some really, really high highs and some really, really low lows, that it just feels nice to get some stability here and not just be constantly breaking up and getting back together for a change. Like we're digging some roots here, with this team. We're building a strong foundation that feels very, very good. 8 of the last 9, none more sweeter than just a beautiful day in Lexington. That 74-71 victory over the Tennessee Volunteers for the season sweep. The day starts with the Devin Booker sneaker pop-up shop. That whole frenzy chaos in downtown Lexington was awesome. Created kind of this buzz and this build-up in Lexington that lasted the entire day, all the way up to the 8:30 p.m. tip-off. That game starts with the introduction of the 1996 championship team reunion. They're wearing the cool denim jackets and all that. It's very, very cool. You get the unveiling of the denim uniforms. Those look unbelievably sweet. And then the game was what it was, a 14-point comeback win that just, man, how they pulled that off again, how they continue to pull it off over and over again. I don't know how. I don't know what to even call this team's identity other than, man, they got some guts, they got some stones, and they are a enjoyable watch now more than ever.
Yeah, I mean, confidence earned is a lot more rewarding than confidence just kind of like that you show up with. It's I think that this team got humbled in a lot of ways really early in the year, and I think that they had to earn back their confidence. Like, hey, we can do this, and we can do it at a really high level. And we can win games that we were counted out on earlier, and we can beat teams that might have looked down on us a month or two ago. And it's been really, really fun watching them come into their own. And honestly, this team, I think you can look at every member of this team. And 2 months ago, we couldn't say this. We could point to any member on the team. We could say, what's your role on this team? And we might get all sorts of different answers. You're like, that doesn't make much sense, because guys didn't really know what their role was just yet. And now you can point to any member of this team and you can say, what's your role on this team? And they know it. And they know it. And they're trying their best to do it really, really well. And when you have that, things start to click. And I think that came to fruition again, that second half against Tennessee, which was fun.
Yeah, and I thought it was just the identity in general of this, like, hey, we're going to be tough. We're going to play with heart. We're going to play with soul and put on a product that you're proud of, especially down the stretch. It's so ironic because that was the biggest gripe about this team for so long, up until really they started humming in SEC play. And I thought it was revealing, especially talking to Derek Anderson before the game, which he hadn't even gotten to see the comeback in person yet at the time. This was just up to the Tennessee sweep. But, I asked about the group chat and, like, okay, we've been hard on Pope this season when the going got tough. But how are his closest friends? How are the guys that you guys were in the trenches together winning a national championship in 1996 and wearing these uniforms? And I'm like, what was it? You know his personality more than anybody, seeing him grow up as a kid in college basketball to the professional he is today. How is he responding to the criticism? He said that you guys were going to cook him in the group chat. Are you actually cooking him in the group chat? And he was like, yes, and it was totally deserved. The product that they put forth early in the season was totally unacceptable. We weren't beating him down and, making him hate his life as a coach, but we were making it clear that, hey, the standard that you wanted to set for this program is not being met right now. So it was cool to hear his side of the story and say, no, like we were saying this, your team's weak, they're soft, they're not playing with enough heart. And Derek Anderson, as a Louisville kid, was talking like, hey, I grew up in this state. I know how much it means to these people in this Commonwealth, and you're letting them down right now. And he was like, and once this team established that identity and found that kind of gut to them, it's when all this stuff started coming together. So he's like, hey, bullying kind of worked in a sense. So it feels good to kind of be vindicated in that way, that the eye test wasn't lying to us early, and now we called them heartless early, and now they're playing with nothing but heart, and they're winning basketball games because of it.
Yeah, and honestly, I think, and that's great. It's good that Pope has like a a group that he can fall back on that he knows is going to tell him like it is, right? And tell him honestly, like, hey, this is not the standard that we built back in the 90s. And, and I bet if you asked any of those guys, they'd say, Mark Pope, how can we help? Like, can we come to practice? Can we do this or that? Which is really, really great to kind of have that you can fall back on. My favorite thing about Pope throughout the year is that he has at every stop completely taken accountability himself for the performance, which was really, really refreshing. I felt like there were times late in the Cal era where it almost felt like, hey, we're not performing to what our expectations are, what this program should be. And I almost got the sense that Cal would sometimes, some of his statements were like, well, maybe you guys should lower your expectations. Like, cause look at what we've done elsewhere and look at all the money we're making in the NBA and, and all this kind of stuff. And it almost was a message that to me was like, Cal was like, you guys have unrealistic expectations. You need to lower those. That's the message that I got, at least. Pope, to start the year, was completely opposite. He was like, we are not living up to the expectation. Fans have every right to be mad and to boo us in Gonzaga or in Nashville against Gonzaga. Fans have every right to be frustrated with the start and the finish against Missouri and Mississippi State. And he was like, we're going to change this thing, I promise you. And he stuck to his word, and he figured it out with his team. Now, we still have a ways to go. We still have problems. We still have things that needs to be fixed, but to your message at the beginning of the show, it's a lot more fun winning the last 9 out of 10 like we have versus the start of the year where we were only 9-6.
How they got there, especially on Saturday, Otega Owe playing just SEC Player of the Year level basketball. I mean, he has found a rhythm for himself personally where he has just owned that superstar role that we were really kind of digging and prying and saying like, hey, I know we can get more out of you, Otega. When is that breakthrough going to come? And he's been that guy, and he's just 5 points away. I think, Steven, we decided away from the 1,000-point club, but he's everything that we dreamed of when he was named preseason SEC Player of the Year, all SEC accolades as the anchoring piece. And now it was, okay, who else can be consistent enough down the stretch to win you basketball games? And Denzel Aberdeen, both times now against Tennessee, hit the big free throws. He was just total takeover mode down in Knoxville. But this one, hitting the clutch free throws, but just an all-around 16-point game, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 30 minutes, just a stable force at point guard. But, man, Colin Chandler, once again, hit the dagger where he has become just the Iceman. Every Captain Clutch, I think is what Tom Hart called him. Every big moment he's stepping up in and really embracing that I'm going to be the Aaron Harrison of this team, and every time you need me for anything big, I'm here to step it up. What's been of those kind of consistent pieces, what has been the most impressive for you in this 8 of 9 wins?
We needed Otega to do Otega things, and that was missing in the first part of the year, obviously. So it all needed to start with Otega. He's the veteran leader. He's the senior. He was the SEC preseason Player of the Year. We needed it all to start with Otega. And watching him turn into what he's turned himself into in the last 9 or 10 games has been really, really impressive. Somebody tweeted out, He's probably on about the same level as Antonio Reeves at this point in terms of consistency. Like, Antonio Reeves just showed up and he gave us 20 points on pretty efficient shooting, night after night. And Otega's doing the same thing now, where I think 10 of his last 11, he scored 15 or more and so on and so forth. He scored 20 points, I think, in 8 of those games or 9 of those games. Mm-hmm. Tennessee, he was 10 of 17 from the field. The free throws need work. I know Jalen Lowe kind of jokingly called him out on Instagram about his free throws, but man, the free throws need work. But besides that, it's hard to fault Otega for anything about his game right now and the way he's playing. Super poetic that in the Tennessee game down in Knoxville, it was Colin Chandler that had the game-winning assist to Otega Owe for that fast break layup after the steal. And in this game, it was Otega repaying the favor, giving a game-winning assist to Colin for his 3. So I think Otega's is the most important because we needed him to be who he is right now in order for us to get where we need to go. But yeah, we needed also a second or third guy that we could consistently rely on to space the floor, hit big shots, late in close games when Otega draws 2-3 defenders like he did on that final play, to be able to kick out to, and you have a lot of confidence that guy is going to take the shot he's supposed to take and then make it. So Colin, what, he only had 9 points, I think, on 3 of 8 shooting. It wasn't his best performance overall, but he missed a wide open 3 with about 2.5, 3 minutes to go. That would have put us up. He missed that. And for a lot of shooters that might have like weighed on him or whatever, he just totally got that out of his mind and said, I'm going to make it up later. And he did, which was big time.
Man, walk me through your personal reaction when Colin hit his shot. How being in that building, it was an all-time Rupp Arena pop. But how did it come across on television? Like, what did it live up to the hype? Being as far away from Rupp as it is, it's kind of an out-of-body experience being there, but it had to have still extended wherever you were watching from, whatever couch, whatever TV.
Yeah, the tension in the building was palpable through the TV. I think my TV was sweating. I think I saw like sweat beads coming down the side of my TV because you could feel the tension in the gym, and you could feel everybody kind of collectively holding their breath and going, And to be honest with you, don't get mad at me when I didn't love the play call that we set up. Like we ran that same like kind of empty side ball, back screen ball screen that we'd been running, and what we were trying to do was get the switch that we ended up getting, which was good. The reason I didn't love it is because we had Mo Diabate in the game instead of Yelovich. And so Mo Diabate's man is inevitably able to kind of sink into the paint and all that and kind of make it a little bit more clogged and stuff versus if you have 3 shooters on the backside. And we got the switch, but then Malachi was kind of posting up there. I didn't love it. And so about halfway through the play, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a disaster. Like, what are we doing? And then he drove baseline. But this is what I love is that a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, Ortega would have driven baseline and just forced up a shot. He would have said, this play was drawn up for me. I'm going to go baseline and I'm going to get the ball up on the rim somehow or whatever. And he probably would have forced a really bad shot. Instead, and Jason Hart, after which game was it? It would have been after the OU game when he did the post-game presser. He said that the team's slogan or whatever right now is like, make a play for a teammate. He said that kind of developed about halfway through the year. And I love that he said that after the OU game. And then in the very next game, Ortega, the play was drawn up for him to hopefully go get us a game-winning bucket. As he was driving, he said, I'm not going to be able to make it happen. I need to make a play for a teammate. And Ortega 2 months ago would not have made that decision. He would have just shot it anyways. Ortega now draws it, drives it, draws 3 defenders, kicks it out to Colin. And then, you could just feel the tension when that ball was in the air, but I knew it. I was like, that thing is in. Something about the TV camera and the angle, I was like, that thing is in. And Colin kind of like landed really wide, like he felt really good about it. And the pop came through. Like I give ESPN a lot of flack because I think their microphones aren't in good places to kind of catch Rupp pops sometimes. It caught that one. That thing was an all-timer. And I ran from my living room into my dining room, and I actually slipped and fell on my rug. My rug went up from under me. I slipped and fell, and I landed on the floor, but I hopped right back in it. It was so fun. I was like, this is so great. We have to win this game, and we did. It was awesome.
On that note, we didn't get to get your thoughts on the Rupp Arena experience, man. You got to be there in Lexington firsthand, got to take your wife her very first Rupp Arena experience. What was the week like, man? I was jealous that you guys got to experience it, for her especially, but it's a special thing to be able to witness Rupp for the very first time.
It was cool. My wife loved it. She's not like a massive basketball person, so I've had to slowly turn her into that over the years and all that. But her first trip to Rupp, she loved it. She was like, this place is huge. I can't believe it. Like, there's no way that this place will fill out. And I was like, yeah, it's going to. Trust me. The pregame atmosphere was electric. We got to see Jack and Zach Gagan beforehand, which was good. That was totally by accident, but I got to see Jack and get on camera for a minute. We just kind of soaked it all in, which was really fun. One of my former players when I was on staff at OU is now a grad assistant at OU. So I was able to give him a hug and talk to him before the game and after the game a little bit and stuff. And then Kentucky just played unbelievable. Like it was like we shot the ball really well. We defended really well. It was the Brandon Garrison legacy game, which was fun. I think my wife was like, wow, like he's really, really, I was like, he doesn't always play like this, but tonight he's.
Could you imagine just that being the one brand, like, damn, this guy's a lottery pick. I'm surprised he's not on more draft boards. Like that is your one baseline for Brandon Garrison. That's that. I'm jealous in that regard too.
And she got the whole experience because at the end, Brandon Garrison got the technical and everybody was cheering and stuff. And she leaned over to me and she was like, why are they cheering? I was like, we love when Brandon Garrison gets a technical. We love it. We eat it up. She was like, why? I was like, I can't explain it to you. There aren't enough.
It's BG time. You just got to understand. It could be 1.3 seconds left. It could be at the opening tip. When he decides when it's BG time, and 1.3 seconds left means it's BG time.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It was electric. It was awesome. You know, it wasn't good. And I told her, I said, Tennessee on Saturday is going to be a totally different energy in this building. But even for like a sleepy 9 p.m. game against the last place team in the SEC after a snowstorm, that place was cool. It was definitely the coolest environment she had ever been in and stuff, which was good. So yeah, we had a great time. And all I wanted to do was just win both games this week. And we pulled it off, which is awesome.
Yeah, sure enough. In terms of the other stuff that went into the day with Tennessee, the denim uniforms, yay or nay? What'd you think? Did they come across as beautifully as they came to me, or the '96 team being in town, them talking to the media, all that stuff? What were your thoughts on just kind of the extras that came with that experience?
Yeah, it was great. No, the uniforms looked crispy on the TV. They looked great. I was a huge fan of them. And ESPN on the scoreboard down at the bottom, they changed our blue a little bit to match the denim, which I thought was a really nice touch.
Like
for people that didn't see, Jack bought a nice pair of, or are those the Devin Bookers that you bought?
They are. Yes, they are. Yes.
Yeah. So I think he showed them on the rapid reaction after the game. So if anybody wants to see them, they're on there. But the shoes were great. Having all the 96 guys back was awesome. The presentation before the game, the TV broadcast didn't show a ton of it, but it did show a little bit of it, which was good. It just felt like, I'll be honest with you, it felt like one of those games going into it where I was like, there's all this fanfare, 96, the denim. Maybe it's just like the down years there for a couple of years where I was like, this just feels like a game we might lose because there's so much extra that's going into it right now. And maybe this just feels like maybe it's going to set us up for disappointment. But to have the 96 team there, to be wearing the denims, to come back and beat Tennessee like that, you couldn't have asked for a better night.
Has it surprised you at all how Pope has responded to the emotional matchup specifically this season with that Pitino head-to-head was, I mean, a one-of-one experience where you get mentor versus student, and Pope has always credited everything in his career on the court, coaching, as a man, as a parent, all of those things to him. He answers that test beautifully, passes that one. Then the John Calipari head-to-head, well, it was the first Tennessee matchup. That was the comeback, 17 points down, all that. After coming off the Sweet 16 loss, that would have been an easy kind of, the moment gets too big for him, crumbles down the stretch, whatever. And then the Arkansas one, that one speaks for itself as well, knowing how things unfolded at Rupp last season. And then with the Tennessee rematch, it just feels like every big-time emotional opportunity that's come his way this season, it hasn't been perfect. North Carolina, they're Gonzaga in Nashville, all those things. So it hasn't been perfect, but some of the bigger ones this season, especially, he's really, really, really kind of been at his best as a coach.
Yeah, it's a maturation process, I think, for him, figuring this stuff out. And obviously, I think Arkansas last year especially was a learning moment for him. But I think Pope has tried his best this year to separate the emotion from it, where last year it seemed like he kind of leaned into it. And I think that's helped him. I think like the St. John's game, especially, I was really kind of trying to watch Pope. Like, is he gonna, is he gonna lean into the emotion, or is he gonna kind of be calculated with how he is coaching over there? And I felt like he tried to remove the emotion out of it. And then he just lets the emotion wash over him afterwards. I know after St. John's was emotional. You saw it. I think they almost broke Stephen Peake's foot after the game, right? His hug with his teammates and stuff. Like, it seems like he separated the emotion during that 40 minutes. And then afterwards is when he lets the emotion wash over him, which is what you probably want as a coach, so that you can kind of think clearly. I know that those meant a lot to him, and I'm really glad for Pope's sake that we have played well enough in those games to win, because I think that those would have, like, the Calipari thing would have been a monkey on his back until he beat him. We would have kept talking about that until either Cal retired or Pope beat him. So to get that monkey off of his back, I think was really important. To play well against his old mentor in Pitino, I think that was a cleansing moment for him. And honestly, that was a big turning point in our year, right? That Indiana St. John's swing was where this momentum all kind of started a little bit, and we started to figure out who we are. So really happy for Pope, but I think he's done a good job of trying to remove the emotion from it until after the game's over.
Very quickly, a quick message from our friends at Parlor Pizza. Make Parlor your game day destination, from award-winning pizzas like the Doctor or fan favorite Hot Honey Pepperoni to Parlor's famous house-smoked wings and extensive craft beer selection. Parlor has a menu that will please the whole family. Their location on Harrodsburg Road is just a short drive from Rupp Arena. Don't miss out on their great happy hour. Come in Monday through Friday from 2 to 6 p.m. to enjoy discounted pints, cocktails, and starters. Parlor is looking forward to celebrating 2 new locations this year, coming soon to Lexington, out at Hamburg and Richmond, Kentucky. I was actually yesterday at the Yum Center. Weird story that I'm happy to tell you, Spencer. I was at the Yum Center for shoot around for NC State yesterday before NC State Louisville just ended up going to that game as well. The Michael Brown show, they just put it to NC State. Stunk. Absolutely stunk. But while I was driving down there, guy I was meeting down there was a Parlor Pizza sitting right there. I was like, man, I'm hungry, and I would love to hit that right here after lunch. So, or after shoot around for lunch. So, shout out to our friends at Parlor Pizza. Everywhere you go, you can find them and eat some delicious pizza and delicious wings and delicious beer. Yeah, weird. That was my first shoot around that I've ever attended, Spencer. I know you've been to 1,000 of them. Didn't know what to expect necessarily, but it was just a different vibe than I thought. And then just very, very cool to kind of be disconnected for a change at a basketball game. I went with my mom. My mom, unfortunately, she's flawless in so many ways, but that is the one horrible flaw about her, is she is unfortunately a U of L fan. So I did get a couple tickets gifted to me from the NC State staff, and said, hey, bring whoever you want. So I decided to bring my mom and be like, hey, it's going to be weird for you because you're going to be surrounded by all the NC State family and coaches and all that stuff. You're going to hear some things you probably never thought you'd hear on a bench, a Will Wade bench especially, but it's going to be a heck of a time. And fortunately for her, she got to see a very cool performance, and Michael Brown tied the all-time freaking scoring record at U of L, broke the freshman record. Yeah, it was just one of those days. But being in your shoes a little bit for the first time, Spencer, as a kind of mingler at a shoot around and on the bench for a high major basketball game, it was a fun time.
Yeah, it's cool. I admittedly I didn't get to watch the game, but I saw your tweet afterwards, and obviously I saw a bunch of stuff about Michael Brown or whatever. Yeah, shoot-arounds are fun, and every coach runs them a little bit differently. Some are really high energy. Some are like really, hey, we're just going to take it easy. We're going to walk through this stuff, and I just want you focused on what I'm saying. Some are like, hey, we practiced the game plan all week, so I just want to focus on getting shots up. Some want to go over coverages. So it is really fun. I've never sat in on a Will Wade shoot-around, but I can imagine it was interesting to watch. And then, yeah, being over on the bench, being over by the bench and stuff. Yeah, you'll probably hear and see some stuff that maybe a normal fan wouldn't, but that makes it fun and good for her. I am sorry that she's a U of L fan, but good for her that she got to watch a historic performance and all that. I'm sure that was a cool like mother-son moment for her, which was fun.
And I can confirm that the game plan was not to let Michael Brown shoot wide open threes all night and go 10 for 17 from three. It was kind of just it was fascinating to like be on this side, just the media side, where you're like, well, why are you going under on that? Like what? And so much of it is like, well, part of it's about player execution too. Like it's not, you got to follow the game plan. You got to follow the scout. So it was also fascinating to kind of see the coaching side of it and say like, here's what our plan is. And knowing how it all unfolded, it's like, well, the players do have to follow through on their jobs as well. So it was cool. Very, very unique experience. Shout out to NC State. I really have a lot of respect for that staff over there. I think they're doing a bang up job. Got caught in the buzzsaw of Michael Brown last night, but big picture, I think they're doing a great job. Big picture for Kentucky, Spencer, 8 of 9, get the bye week. Nice little regroup opportunity for them, heal up the bumps and bruises and all that stuff, get a nice little, hard reset before heading back down to their own buzzsaw probably with Gainesville. And that's a Florida team that's playing really, really good basketball, coming off 2 really, really impressive wins. How are you feeling knowing that the streak is what it is, but as you said it earlier in the show, it is still a flawed basketball team, and there is still a very real chance that they go down to Gainesville and lose, and potentially lose handily. Hopefully not, but that is still very much a possibility because of more credit to Florida more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I like obviously that we get the week off beforehand. So like when you have a week off, you prepare completely differently than you would for a normal game. Like Florida right now is preparing for Georgia. They play Georgia tomorrow night. What's interesting is normally the league, when one team has a week off and the other one doesn't, and they play each other on the weekend, they almost always schedule that game on Tuesday. So like Florida, Georgia should be playing tonight. I don't know why, for whatever reason, the SEC helped us out a little bit. They didn't schedule it till Wednesday. So that means that Florida doesn't have that extra day to prepare for Kentucky. So I like that. It's also a road game for Florida. So what that means is they won't get back to Gainesville until like 2:00 in the morning on Wednesday. So what that typically means is Thursday is going to be a really light day. It kind of has to be. Your team's worn down. So you're not going to do a lot of like full speed coverages and stuff. So that really only gives the Gators one day to do full speed coverages to prep for the Cats, which I like. Thursday for them will probably be a lot of film, walk through some stuff. Yeah, they'll do some full speed stuff, but it's not going to be like what you normally would do that day. So all that stuff helps the Cats. For us on the flip side, I think we probably didn't practice yesterday. We probably did practice today, but we won't spend a ton of time on coverages yet. We'll do probably a lot of 5-on-5 stuff. We'll get them up and down. We'll let them play a little bit. We'll do some coverage stuff. We'll do the intro to coverages stuff. And then we'll spend Wednesday, Thursday, Friday really hammering in on coverages full speed. So the Cats have 3 days to prepare full speed. The Gators probably only have 1. I like all of that. That all is good. Well, the part that I don't like is that we have to go play the Gators in Gainesville on Saturday. I don't like it. It's going to be a really, really tough matchup. I think we need to look at this game in a vacuum to say, hey, even if we go down there and we can't win, we're still like we've still made a ton of positive progress, and we need to keep building on that. Like it's maybe a slight step back if we aren't able to win that game, but we need to return to Rupp against Georgia next week, and we need to keep building on what we've built. I do think it's a winnable game. I'll say that. Do I expect us to win? I don't know, but I do think it is winnable, and there's some things about this matchup that maybe are similar to what we've seen in the past, which I'm sure we'll get to. But I think it's a good opportunity for the Cats to spend all week this week fixing things that we need to fix, and we get a couple of extra days to prepare for the Gators.
The analytics don't love them. They do not think highly of Kentucky. That's kind of been a controversial thing, just the 31 in KenPom, just really not gaining a whole bunch of ground there. KenPom was so much higher than everybody else starting with Kentucky, and they kind of tanked quite a bit, and they're now having to really slowly be able to make up some of that lost ground there. But KenPom only gives Kentucky an 18% chance to go win that game, projected as a 10-point underdog heading down there. So not great. I'll check what you can give some kind of loose takes on the Gators and what you've seen from them, what makes them such a hot, because they won 8 of their last 9 as well. We'll see what Bart Torvik has to say as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Gators they're really, really good at what they're really good at, which is being bigger than everybody else, pounding people on the glass. What's interesting is they're currently second in the country in offensive rebounding rate, which is obviously like, you're like, oh man, holy cow. Well, do you know who number 1 is, Jack? Any guesses who number 1 is?
The Tennessee Volunteers, I'd like to guess.
The Tennessee Volunteers, yeah. Who, to be fair, we did just give up a lot of offensive rebounds to them. We gave up 19, if I remember correctly, but it didn't convert into second chance points, which is important. So we did just see a team, and we just prepared for a team for multiple days where rebounding was a big message. So now we get a whole nother week where that's a big thing. Where they're a little bit better than Tennessee is their defensive rebounding rate. They're 3rd in the country. Tennessee is like, I think maybe 21st or 22nd. So still not bad, but they're not quite as good as the Gators. It'll be the second best one that we've seen all year. Michigan State ranks number 1. So, and I remember Michigan State did kind of handle us on the boards. They didn't give us a lot of second chance opportunities. So that's really going to be the key to the game is, can we keep the Gators off the glass? Even if they hit the glass, similar to Tennessee, can we keep that from being converted into second chance points? If they get an offensive board, we need them to throw it out. Against a team like Alabama, you don't want them to throw it out. You'd rather somebody take a contested jump hook or something than kick it out to an open shooter, because that's how Alabama is. Florida's kind of the opposite. You probably want them to kick it out because you like your chances better with like a Xavier Lee 3 than you do, somebody like Chinyelu at the rim or Alex Condon. So I like that the Gator game is coming right on the heels of the Tennessee game, because they are similar in profile to one another. The Gators are just a little bit better at just about everything Tennessee does, except for the offensive rebounding rate. But you'll have kind of a similar game plan. And again, you're dealing with a a 3 big lineup for the most part, where they run out Chinyalu, Condon, and Thomas Houck. So, at the 3 spot, they're running a guy who's 6'9", 6'10". Well, we just saw that too. Nate Ament is what, 6'10"?
Mm-hmm.
And then they've got, the Akpara and Brown and all those guys down low and Carey. So we just saw a really big lineup as well. And we kind of figured out how to attack that. So I'm very happy that it's right off the heels of Tennessee. That definitely will help us. But then we got to go down there and we got to handle the environment too and that type of stuff.
Bart Torvik really hates the Cats, man. Like, just really just not a fan of any of this right now. 40th nationally, and they have Kentucky as plus 14.2 with a 10% chance to win and an 83-69 projected score.
Yeah, Bart Torvik has never been high on us.
Yeah.
After the Gonzaga game, our Bart Torvik kind of tanked, and we've kind of been in that.
They started pretty low with Bart Torvik, if I remember correctly. And Ken Pom, at one point, we got up to number 1.
Yep.
And fell and slowly but surely kind of inching their way up. But yeah, I think our boy Bart, not a fan.
No, but you know what I'll say about those analytic things is those analytic things don't tend to reward teams that win ugly. And the Cats have been winning ugly a little bit. Like, we've had these messy comebacks, and we've had entire halves where our defensive or offensive efficiency has been really bad, like both first halves against Tennessee, for instance, and so on and so forth, and LSU and all that. So like we've had performances that you look at and you're like, man, we got the win and that's great. Like, we dug ourselves out of that hole, but it's because we created the hole in the first place. Like, the analytics don't really reward us for that, which has not been great. And we probably needed more wins like what we got against OU, where it's a good, comfortable win. We're pushing the spread out. Like that's the kind of win that the analytics reward you for. And those have not really existed for the Cats outside of Mississippi State and OU, I think, are probably the only 2 in conference play that I can remember where we've had like a good, comfortable win. So who cares? Throw the analytics out the window. Like, if we're going to go down there and win, it's not going to be a pretty game. We're going to have to, maybe junk it up a little bit and maybe get to the free throw line a ton and do some things that like the analytics aren't going to love, but whatever, we got to do what we got to do to win.
So what will be kind of the one thing that you've seen with similar profiles with Tennessee? Obviously it's been the Otega Owe show, Denzel, / Colin kind of being the catalyst for both of the Tennessee wins. What has to go well for Kentucky for us to be, celebrating a 9th win in 10 tries for the Cats?
So I think our key to victory, or one of our paths to victory, is definitely like we need to be able to space the floor, especially with Florida. They're so big. We have to space the floor. So Mo Diabate is going to have to play because of his rebounding, whatever, but he's going to be he's so undersized compared to like an Alex Condon or somebody like that who's going to come out there. Diabate 6'7". I think Alex Condon 6'10", 6'11". And we want to get those bigs out of there if we want to space. So we probably are going to, I think, hopefully see a little bit more Yelovich in this game. I mean, Brandon Ramsey pointed out Andrea Yelovich is our best defensive rebounder in terms of rebound rate when he's on the floor. So that's going to be extremely important, is that he rebounds at a high level, but then also he can space the floor offensively, which can open things up for Otega and Denzel and all that to kind of get in there and make some things happen. So offensively, we need to pull those bigs out. The zoom will help. I'm going to guess that Pope's going to run some zoom action because we're going to have to get those bigs and some of the handoffs and make them make some decisions and stuff. I'm just rambling at this point, but I should have a lot of thoughts on this matchup. The good thing about a big lineup like that is that it limits Florida's ability to switch. Like when you have 4 guys, like when we're running like Cam Williams at the 4 or somebody like that, like Kentucky has like a lot of ways that they can switch those screens or handoffs or whatever, and it gives you a little bit more versatility defensively. Florida runs such a big lineup that it makes it really hard for like Xavier Lee to ever switch with Thomas Houck or Condon or somebody. So running a zoom action or something like that will help because it will make the bigs be involved in a coverage every time that they're not able to switch. You want them at the level of the screen. You want them to I don't know how Florida's going to guard it yet, but you want them to hedge it. You want them to be at the level of the screen. They're probably going to put Chinyalu in like a drop coverage. So, if you can get a guy like Jasper, Aberdeen, somebody like that coming off of it, and Chinyalu's in a drop coverage, you're going to get some shots, which will be good. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how we do it. That's on the offensive side. On the defensive side, we got to keep them off the glass. and we got to turn Florida into a passing team. They are 156th, I think, in assist rate. They don't pass the ball super well. They get a ton of their points off of offensive rebounds. They don't get a ton of points off of like assisted, like somebody gets in there and makes a play for somebody else. It's a lot of boogie flans, Xavier Lee, sometimes Thomas Howe, somebody, getting a shot up on the rim, and then those bigs go in there and clean it up, and those are unassisted field goals. So we got to keep them off the glass. We got to make Florida, we got to turn them into a passing team to where they have to like actually create for others. And I think with Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee, that ball is going to start to stick, and they're going to start to force some stuff up. So I don't know. We'll see. I think that there are multiple paths to victory. Those are narrow paths because I do think it's going to be an uphill climb being on the road and everything, but I do think it's winnable.
I think one of the bigger takeaways that we all thought would probably be a bigger deal going into the season was the Denzel Aberdeen homecoming thing with Todd Golden being as chippy and pissy about how that breakup unfolded. And it, there were at times that it felt, when Xavier Lee, especially early on, was really, really struggling and Denzel was playing really well early, it was like, aha, we won the breakup. Go Denzel. Denzel goes through his struggles and Xavier Lee starts kind of building some confidence, and you get some Todd Golden kind of getting some getting a little arrogant with it. So I think it kind of balanced out a little bit to where we're starting to know both sides' identities, and Xavier Lee is a very solid player, Denzel Aberdeen very solid player. How do you expect his individual return to go, understanding the fan dynamic, understanding that Todd Golden knows him better than any coach in America at this stage, and how much Kentucky's going to need him at kind of to be the stable force at guard? Yeah,
I mean, having him it'll be interesting because players all of the time react to these homecomings a little bit different, right? He's going to have a lot of family there, so like teams get a certain allotment of tickets. And usually when you're going back home for somebody, the majority of those tickets will go to like that player or two that are like closest to home. So like a lot of other players' tickets are probably going to go to Aberdeen. So he's going to have a lot of people there, I would imagine. That puts pressure on you sometimes, but sometimes that's a comfort thing. Sometimes like, hey, my mom's in the stands for the first time all year, and like I'm going to go out there and play for her or whatever. It can be like a comforting thing. He's going to have to pull a Pope, like what I was talking about earlier. He's got to kind of check his emotion at the door to where it doesn't overwhelm him, but you do want him to play with a little bit of an edge. And we talked about this with Mo Diabate earlier with Alabama, where it's like, hopefully, he knows some of like what they do and like some of their calls and stuff. And maybe that kind of helps with the prep a little bit. But I think, we need him to be a steadying force. He's going to be our senior leader, one of our senior leaders in a really tough road environment, probably the toughest road environment we'll have played in this year, I would imagine. It's going to be really rowdy. Todd Golden's going to hype his team up about how he left for greener pastures. Let's go make him pay. He's going to be big on probably selling that before the game. But yeah, we need Aberdeen to really kind of hopefully settle things down for us and get us into our stuff and make good decisions. We need him to be like a steadying force.
Kind of controversially, how Mo Diabate handled the post game after Alabama. That was the finger pointing. That was the, I wish we had followed the scout a little bit more, kind of like, I wish you had leaned on me a little bit more. Do you expect Pope to take that information and how things unfolded with that one and say, okay, maybe there is value and I do need to meet with Denzel and really dig deeper into, Todd Golden outside of just what a game day in Gainesville looks like. Here's what Todd does really, really well in terms of game day prep, and here's where he is mentally, the things that don't pop up on film.
Yeah, probably. I think that would serve us well if we did that. It's like we had somebody who sat in their locker room and practices for multiple years and stuff, and prepped for Kentucky a year ago. So Denzel Aberdeen remembers what it was like to prep for Otega Oweh, and hey, this is what we tried to do and all that. So I do think that there will probably be maybe a little bit more of that. Again, it's hard to know exactly what happened with the Mo Diabate situation, but it would be good if Denzel's a little bit more vocal this week about, hey, when we do this, they're going to try to do that. Or like, hey, every time we set a screen over here, they're going to try to ice it, which is kind of a little mini trap. Not really, but so, hey, it'd be good to spray the ball out this way. It'd be good to get, if he was a little bit more vocal this week and helping us through some of that stuff. I think that would obviously help the coaches and also maybe make the players feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, hey, we know what to expect, which is a good thing.
Very quickly, quick message from our friend at Monticello Bank. We're excited to partner with them once again. Enjoy the home court advantage with Monticello Bank's HELOC special and use the equity you've built in your home to finance special home projects and improvements. Score big with a fantastic introductory rate and attractive closing costs. With 21 locations in 15 counties across Kentucky, we're just around the corner. So hurry in and speak with one of our mortgage lenders about this limited time offer today. Find us on the web at mbcbank.com. Monticello Bank, where people matter, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Steven just popped up the SEC standings. Can't believe that we're in this position, just knowing how we all felt after that Missouri game, that 9-6 start, 0-2 in the SEC. But they have put themselves in position to control their destiny for winning the freaking league. You know, it's going to be very, very difficult. Not expecting that to happen, but at minimum, you have put yourself in position to say, hey, if we take care of business the way that we're capable of doing and what we've done in this recent stretch since, mid-January on, we're going to double bye territory, and you can talk more confidently about a deep, run in Nashville and rewarding the fans after not necessarily giving them that after so many years off in that event. So is that something that you're starting to eye, and what would it take, in your opinion, for them to solidify starting with the double bye, but dreaming really, really big with winning the whole damn thing?
Starting with the double bye, obviously we have to protect home court, which easier said than done because it involves a home game against Florida and Vanderbilt. But hopefully Rupp will be we need Rupp to be rocking in all of these final 3 home games. But you got 3 NCAA tournament teams coming into your building that you need to beat. You got Georgia, Vandy, and Florida. So take care of business there. You've got the most winnable game on your schedule left is probably a road game against South Carolina, who, you win that one. So that gets you to 4 wins. If you can just protect home court and then beat South Carolina, that gets you to 4 wins, which I think secures you a double bye is my guess. Because just given, who else plays everybody else and all that kind of stuff, some of these kind of neck and neck teams are going to start to drop off just a hair. So I think 4 wins get you to the double bye. If you can get to 5 wins, then I think you're in serious contention for the league. 5 wins, I think, is a little tough because it involves you got to either win at Auburn, or you got to win at A&M, or you got to go down to Gainesville and win. So you got to win one of those 3 in order to get to 5 wins out of our final 7. Super doable. You can do it. I think it might be a little bit of an uphill, climb, but I think the double bye is the most important thing, and I would want to be in the bottom half of the bracket because assuming if we don't win the league, which of course is still in play, but if we don't, I'm just going to assume Florida will win the league. So then it's I want to be on the opposite side of that bracket from Florida. I want to be down there at the bottom half with whoever is going to be down there with us. Maybe at this point, who knows? It could be anybody, but maybe A&M, could be Vandy, who knows? So we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, it's exciting to be in this position where you're okay, we've played well enough to put ourselves in position to do this. It's also hard not to look back at that freaking Missouri game and be man, what if we were 9-2 right now?
Position.
Yeah, that hurts. So I don't know, but it's fun. It's exciting to think about. A double bye would be great. Hopefully you get a hopefully winnable game on that Friday night if you're in the bottom half of the bracket, and then you're in the semifinals for the first time since 2022. I think that was the Oscar Player of the Year. I think we were in the semifinals, but that was it. So yeah,
man, but there's also a scariness to it because with 5 more quad ones coming up, I don't want to say the bottom could fall out, but there is a scenario where you are. Is there any path to a Wednesday? It's still technically on the table, I think, but it would be a disaster to get to that position. But I guess I'm asking, what is the worst case scenario for you in these next couple of weeks as we do get closer to Nashville?
The worst case scenario that likely scenario, I think, would be 2-5, which would be we're only able to win one of those final 3 home games. We drop it to Vandy and Florida, but we beat Georgia. And then the only road game we win is South Carolina. So we finished the year 2-5. That's a worst case scenario. That would put us at 10-8, which I don't think is a Wednesday game. I think that's probably it could be a Wednesday game. Hopefully it's not a Wednesday game. It could be. But I think if you win 3, you're safe from Wednesday, and I think if you win 4, you're safe from Thursday. That's my opinion. So it's just a race to kind of get into there. But you just, again, I said it multiple times on this podcast. Rupp has to be our sanctuary of like, we don't lose in this building. You know, and we've already lost in that building twice this year, which in my mind is unacceptable. It's not acceptable to ever lose in that building, and I'm at least consoled by the fact that I know Pope agrees with me on that. So I know Pope is big on that, but we need Rupp to be totally rocking for those 3 home games. And then we need to go on the road and be able to take care of business against South Carolina. And then you got to win one more. Auburn seems super gettable, but Saturday night in the jungle, I think it's an 8:30 tip on the Plains. That's a tough one. At A&M is a 7:00 tip on a Tuesday night. Let's see what that's like, but we got to try to win at least one of those other road games. And I think we'll be in a good spot.
We've talked best case, worst case scenario. What is your take? What actually happens?
I think we go 4-3. I think we protect home court, and then I think we beat South Carolina, and I think we drop A&M, Florida, and Auburn on the road. So I think we finish the year 4-3. That puts us at 12-6, which I think gets you a double bye, and I think puts you probably in range for about a 6 seed in March Madness, because you'll have wins over Vandy and Florida there in your final 3 games, and hopefully you win 1 or 2 in Nashville. I think that puts you on the high side, maybe a 5, on the low side of 7, probably a 6.
Yeah, we saw today's update from ESPN's bracketology, which again doesn't mean anything, and they intentionally do the storylines to make it talking points for dummies like us on podcasts to talk about. I get it, but it opened up with a 7-10 matchup. UCLA as our 10. We're a 7. And then there is a fascinating setup to where you go Iowa State, and then John Calipari in Arkansas in the Sweet 16, and then Rick Pitino in St. John's in the Elite 8 for a shot at Indianapolis, that city of demons that has done so much mental damage to me and BBN. What is your kind of, you talked about 6 potentially, but are you embracing kind of a storyline filled like, hey, we hit rock bottom, we're climbing out, we've won these games in just unbelievable dramatic fashion. Screw it. Yeah, let's play Rick again. Let's play John Calipari. Let's go. That same bracket had Michigan State, UNC, just insane storyline set up there. But is there anything about that dynamic that intrigues you?
First of all, let me say the new bracketology on ESPN is a disaster. I don't know.
I hate it, man. I hate it. It just, nothing about it is appealing to the eye. It's not aesthetically pleasing. And they try to do the weird like movement. Like, we don't need movement. We just like show me the bracket. That's all we care about.
I like a good paper bracket that I can put on my fridge. Just show me that, and I'm happy about it. Like, yeah, I think it's a disaster. I'm fine with the storylines. Yeah, they play it up or whatever. I'm fine with the storylines. I think, a first round against Donovan Dent at UCLA, which was obviously a storyline.
Sky Clark too.
Sky Clark. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, that's fine. I think for me, I love a good storyline matchup or whatever. For me, in my opinion, like let's clear that 7 line and let's get up to a 6 at least. I really don't want. I think the 2 seeds are much stronger than the 3 seeds. So we got to find a way to get up to that 6 line at the lowest, which I think we're going to be able to do personally. And we could even play our way up into a 5 or something maybe. But Arkansas, like that could be fun again, although I don't really want to do that. But
I don't want it at all. Nothing.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams that I wouldn't want to replay, which is like Tennessee, Arkansas. I don't want to play Gonzaga again. I never want to play Gonzaga ever again in our programs if we can get away with it. But there are ones that I would like to replay. I'd love another shot at Michigan State. I think that team would go out there with a big chip on their shoulder. I would love another shot at Louisville. Like, give us Louisville again. Yeah. Let's see what we can do.
Well, not last night version of Louisville. I think that was just they were going to beat the Kevin Durant Golden State Warriors. Like, there was just nothing. That was unbelievable. They finished that game like 1.47 points per possession or something insane. 76% effective field goal percentage or something insane. Like, I was watching, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a team shoot this hot ever in my life. So I would like to play Louisville again, but not that version of Louisville.
No, same. I totally agree. I mean, in a perfect world, not in a perfect world, but like in a realistic world of what could happen, in my mind, I'm like, us as a 6 seed, give us a 3 seed North Carolina to give us a second round crack at UNC. So I think we can beat them again. I think we can beat them. I think we can definitely do it if we saw them again. And then like us against North Carolina with a chip on our shoulder to get to the Sweet 16, that'd be awesome. So I'm kind of trying to look at the matchups. Then obviously it matters where we go. If they ship us off to San Diego, it's going to be hard for BBN to get there. If we're in Philly or St. Louis or my hometown of Tampa or something, like I think we can get some fans there and stuff too. So I don't know, a lot to be determined, but it is kind of fun to start looking.
What is a team that you are looking at in the national landscape and saying, no, whatever you do, avoid at all costs? Is there anybody out there that terrifies you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I don't think I'd want to play Michigan. I think Michigan would overwhelm us.
That was the one in that Joey Brackets update.
Yeah, I don't really want to play Michigan. I do kind of sneakily want to play Arizona. I don't know why, but Arizona has like that John Wall team written all over it where like they don't shoot the ball very well. And I just feel like you could catch them on a cold night. And we are pretty big and all that. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't mind Arizona. A team that scares me is Illinois. I want to stay far away from Illinois because obviously they have the revenge factor from last year and they're playing really well. So I don't think I'd want to play Illinois, and Houston. I mean, that top end again, the ones in the 2 seeds are all really good this year. I think I'd play Duke. Come on, give us Duke.
Oh God, you said that, my heart is man. That would be. Think once the ball is tipped, I think I'd be good. But man, I think the build up all day, getting to especially that game would be the 9:56 p.m. tip or whatever. We'd be waiting all freaking day for it, and it would just crush me.
Yeah,
that would scare me. But
it would.
I think I'd be interested.
Yeah, and I don't think we'd play them, until like the Sweet 16. We'd have to get up to like a 4 or 5 seed in order to play them in the Sweet 16, probably. But yeah, like I would play them because I just think there's a path to beating Duke. So I don't know. I'd play UConn. I don't think that they're as good as I don't think that they really played anybody. They haven't played outside. They haven't played a hard team outside the state of Connecticut or New York yet. So, I think like you get them away from their fans. So I don't know. It is fun to start speculating, but like my biggest thing is like, let's avoid being a 7 seed. Let's get up to a 6 or a 5. And then let's see where the matchup is.
Give me a hot take. We'll start wrapping this thing up. Give me a hot take about this Kentucky team that you're going to see from this team, or something that has been fool's gold about this team that we're going to see over these next 3 weeks or whatever to wrap up this regular season schedule.
Oh, a hot take. Oh boy, that's tough. I don't know. My hot take is that I think that this team we could end up closer to like that 2011 team. Not saying that we're going to go on a Final Four run, because I don't know if we're totally capable of that, but I think we might see an ending of the year that's a little bit closer to that 2011 team where it's like guys are making shots, guys know their role. We finished that year by beating a pretty good Florida team at home in a pretty rowdy environment. We beat, I think, 3 top 25 teams in our final 6 games to finish that year. We could do the same thing. We get Vandy at home. We get Florida at home. We get an A&M team on the road that I think is beatable and stuff. So, my hope is that we see us catch on where at the end of the year, we're playing a lot more like that 2011 team. Not to say we'll make a Final Four run. There's a lot that remains to be seen, but I think we could settle into something like that where we look back really fondly on this team, and maybe we have some building blocks for next year too.
I am falling in love with this team and I know it's easy to do when, 18 points, 17 points, 14 points, 12 points. Like, yeah, of course, when they create these core memories for you as a Kentucky fan, you're going to think more fondly of them. But they have just been so much easier to cheer for, and you're seeing the heart and the extra stuff that the even as simple as crashing the glass, diving for loose balls, making the extra pass, the selfish things that we didn't love about them early, they're now kind of getting the bad habits out. So I have just found myself rooting for them a little bit harder during this stretch. They've just been a much more enjoyable watch.
Yeah, and again, I said at the beginning of the show, like confidence earned is a lot more rewarding. Like that John Wall team or whatever, they just came in with a confidence that it was just like that confidence was just God given, and there it is or whatever, and that's a lot of fun. Confidence earned over the course of like trials and tribulations, like what the 2014 team went through and things like that. It can be a lot more rewarding when you finally do see that team put it all together, which I think is kind of what we're doing a little bit right now, where we're really solidifying ourselves on like, hey, we have an identity now, we have something, and we have a belief and a confidence in ourselves that we have literally pulled out of the ashes to wear, and it's fun. It is fun, and it is rewarding. I said in the preseason that I liked this roster because it was built to win games in a lot of different ways, and we're seeing that. Like we're winning games in a bunch of different ways. We've got wins where we made a ton of threes. We've got wins where we didn't really make any threes, but we just gutted it out down low, or we scored a bunch in transition. Or the Tennessee game, we won that game because we completely locked them down defensively in the second half. 6 made field goals in the second half against a top 25 team. I don't remember us doing that in the last like 10 years probably. So like we won that game because we just decided we're going to lock you down in the second half and we're not going to give you anything easy. And then that turned into transition points and momentum and stuff for us on the other end. So we're seeing this team win games in a lot of different ways, which can be really rewarding come March. And remember last year, I said last year's roster didn't have as many avenues to win games because they weren't capable of just completely locking you down and holding you to 6 made field goals and a half. And they weren't capable of just crushing you on the boards like what we've done against some teams and stuff. So this team has some stuff to it that maybe will pay off in March because we've gone through the tribulations that they have. So we'll see.
My hot take. There's a chance that Mark Pope wins SEC Coach of the Year, which would just be hilarious considering where we were about like hot seat. Like, does he make it through this year? Do we have to like go through an ultimatum going into year 3? It would be hilarious if he wins, if he gets to 5. Do you think that there's 5 of these next couple weeks? Do you think that there's a chance that SEC Coach of the Year Mark Pope is a possibility?
Yeah, I think if we finish above A&M in the standings, I think he could win it. I think he probably should win it. I think the other candidate is probably Bucky McMillan. The guy at Vanderbilt's obviously really good as well. It probably all depends on where we finish, but if we finish top 2 in the league, so if we win 5 games, like you're saying, and we either win the league or we finish second, he's winning Coach of the Year. If we win 4, but we still somehow finish second and like kind of Vandy or A&M kind of drop into 5 or 6 or whatever, he'll win Coach of the Year. And he should for what he's done with this team. The only thing is, will the coaches vote for him knowing that he had more money than them and all that?
And that like it's the early expectation, the perception that was so high, tanked it and then rebuilt it. It's like, well, okay, is he just playing like the team that was supposed to be worth $22 million? And like, it's weird. It's fat. But I think with the injury thing, I mean, that's the easiest thing to keep in his back pocket, that no other team in America is, navigating 3 starters out for basically the season or however, whatever happens with JQ. But yeah, he's doing a masterful job, especially here down the stretch. Hopefully we get to continue to see that with a big time matchup down in Gainesville. Can't wait. I think Steve and I are going to head out. We're driving and it's going to be just an absolute just wreck of a drive. I'm not looking forward to it in the slightest. Like 11 hours. Are you driving up for that one? You said you were thinking about it.
I'm trying to get up there. My wife's parents are in town, so she's got some stuff planned. I'm trying to get away where I can get up there for a couple hours and go to the game. That's my plan. And a guy that I coached with at OU, his name's Colin Hartman. He's one of the better assistants in the country. He's on staff at Florida. So I'd like to see him and stuff and everything before the game. So my goal is to get up there on Saturday, but it might be a game time decision. We'll see.
There we go. We'd love to see it. So we'll keep you guys in the loop. Hopefully our road trip goes a little bit better than the Arkansas one in terms of like logistics and hotel rooms and all that nonsense that we had to deal with. But we're looking forward to it. Not the drive, but the trip itself is going to be a good one. Hopefully we can pull off another masterpiece, another miracle, however it looks. Doesn't matter. Just win the game and we'll be happy. Where can fans find your work, Spencer?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter or X at Spencer_Smith 10. And I had an interesting moment where I have haters on Twitter now, Jack.
You do?
Yeah.
That's an earned confidence.
Yeah, it is. I called out, and I think rightfully so. I called out Colin Chandler about a month and a half ago for his play because he was struggling. And then I think somebody found it and retweeted it, and then other people found it and other people retweeted it, and so I was getting some hate. But I've somewhat arrived, where I've got haters now on Twitter, which is fun. You can find me if you want to hate on me too. You can find me Spencer_Smith10, and you can follow me there.
That's what it's all about, baby. At Jack Pilgrim KSR, go subscribe to KSR Plus. Lots of good stuff coming there. Some recruiting conversations, some end of year kind of big picture stuff, GMs, all that stuff. Make sure you go get that intel over there. Make sure you're subscribed. Before you get out of this video, make sure you like and subscribe to this video right now, and the KSR YouTube channel. It makes Stephen Peak look very good, and we like when Stephen Peak looks very good because he's excellent at what he does. So for Jack, for Spencer, for Stephen behind the camera, we will see you next time. Go Cats.